Aloha, my name is Christina. In today's Pilates video, we'll be focusing on your feet. If you've ever injured your toes or your ankles, you know just how important foot health is. Because when you think about it, when we're walking, the only thing connecting us to the earth are our feet. So if we wear shoes that are too tight that cause bunions, or we wear shoes that are a little too cushioned where all the muscles in the bottoms of the feet aren't working or they're working incorrectly, that can affect our gait, which then can affect the rest of your body. So in today's video, we'll be doing some foot exercises without any props, and then we'll be using the toe corrector. So this is something that Joseph Pilates had designed. These two straps are meant to go around your big toes, and then there's a spring in the middle. I'll link it below, but most people don't have this lying around. So if you don't have one of these, grab a light TheraBand tied into a circle, or sometimes I even just use a scrunchie. So come on down and let's get started. We'll put this off to the side for now. One of the things that I see most commonly is this muscle that moves your big toe. There's one on the side and there's one underneath that are really, really weak. Because when we're balancing on the foot, if this muscle isn't working correctly, we can end up rolling to the outside of the foot, or we can even roll to the inside of the foot, which is then going to affect your knee and then also your hip. So the first few things we'll be doing a little toe exercises. So you can do this seated if you can't sit comfortably like this. I'll just sit here. And then however you want your hands. Some of my clients, I actually do hands and thumbs and fingers with this as well, just because it starts to make a little bit more sense. I'll just leave my hands here so you can focus on my feet. So what we're going to start with doing is abduction of your big toe. So my feet are flat. This one's really hard. I'm going to think about drawing my big toes towards one another, and then I relax. So they draw towards one another and relax. Together, and then relax. If this makes sense for you to just do 1 foot at a time, that's totally fine. 5. I'm going to keep doing both. 6, and we're going to do 20 total. 7. So I'm not lifting the toe and dragging it over. I'm thinking about just pulling them towards one another. Like my big toes are magnets, and I'm going to try to draw them towards one another. Good. Let's do one more set of 10. So toes pull in and then relax. 2. So there might be one toe, 3, that's moving more than the other, which my right foot is moving a lot. 5. And my left foot is not, or my left toe is not really moving a whole lot. So you're using the muscle on the arch or the inside of the foot to help move the toe over. I lost count, so I'm going to do 2 more. Good. And then relax. If your feet start to cramp, just go ahead and massage it out. That's very typical because these, muscles never get worked. Okay. So we're going to do a little pulling up with the toe. So I'm going to lift my big toes off the floor. I push the big toes down and I lift the other 4 toes, or I guess 8 toes off, and then back down. Big toes down, and then 4 toes and down, and big toes and down. My left foot does not really want to work today. And 4 toes and down. Big toes and down. 4 toes and down. Big toes and down. 4 toes. So do as much as you can today. The more you do this, the more it'll make sense. Kind of like with anything, with any form of exercise. Maybe the first time doing a bicep curl felt so strange, but now you can do it without any difficulty. Good. We'll do a couple more rounds, and big toes and down, 4 toes and down, 1 more, big toes and down, 4 toes and down, and then shake it up. My feet are going to cramp. So if you have a hard time doing that, what you can do is with your fingers, you're going to lift the big toe up and then just try to keep it there. So lift, and then just try to keep it there. So you're working on being able to lift the big toes and then the other 4 toes independently from one another. Okay, so this one I'll do 1 foot at a time because I think it makes more sense. And then I have the contrast of the blue mat and then my foot. So what I'm thinking of, if I'm doing this with my hand, I'm trying to cup my hand instead of curling the fingers and the toes under. So I think about doming the foot or the hand and then back down. So I'm doing this with my foot. I'm thinking this joint is going to try to drop towards this joint. So I'm gonna lift and dome and then relax. Lift and dome and relax. This is 3 and so I'm using this muscle at the bottom of the foot to lift. 5. So I'm not necessarily scrunching the toes. 6. I'm pulling this arch up. 8. 2 more. 9. 1 more. 10. And then relax. Good. And then I'll do the other side. Okay. So same idea. I'm thinking about kind of doming the foot, pulling this joint towards this joint. I'm going to lift and then relax. Lift. 2. So pulling it through the arch. 3 and down. And 4. If you end up scrunching your toes for today, 5, that's totally fine. But just keep going. 6, and then eventually work towards keeping the toes sort of like long and flat. 2 more. 9. 1 more. 10. Good. So those are things that you can do without any preps. Now go ahead and grab your toe corrector or maybe your scrunchie. Maybe I'll do a couple with a toe corrector and then also just with the scrunchie. So I'm going to scoot back. So you can see, when my legs are pretty wide, the spring is, opened, I guess. And then when my feet are pretty close together, this whole contraption goes slack. So I want to start with there's no tension on the spring, but this thing isn't drooping. So I got a little bit of there, and it's kind of, horizontal across. So I know you're looking at the bottoms of my feet, but think about from the thighs. You're sitting up as tall as you can. I'm going to turn my left thigh out, and then I'm going to go back to parallel. So turn out and then back in. So for this one, I'm thinking about turning the thigh out. And 4. So then in turn, that turns my foot out. 5. So I'm not just winging the foot out to the side. I'm turning the whole leg out if I can. 8. 2 more. 9. And then this right leg is just really still. 10. Let's do the other side. So the right leg turns out. Left leg is still. 2. I'm keeping my feet flexed. 3. I kind of think like a windshield wiper. 4. And 5. And 6. So you really should feel this in your glutes. 7. Even something so small. 8. 9. And 10. Good. And then relax. Take a little moment. If you're starting to feel this in your hip flexors or your hamstrings, you just want to prop yourself up and sit up a little taller. Okay. Fix my outfit. Okay, so now I'm going to do both at the same time. So I'm going to bring my feet a little closer together so I can turn the legs out and parallel. Turn it out. 2. Parallel. Turn it out. 3. So really turning out from the thighs. 4. And 5. So I'm looking at my feet. 6 in my thighs. 7. My left leg doesn't really want to turn out as much. 8. 2 more. 9. And 10, and then relax. Okay, take a moment, shake it out. My legs are actually pretty tired. Okay, so now we're gonna point and flex the feet. So I want a little bit of tension. My legs are parallel, so knees and toes are pointing up. I'm gonna think very dancery. I'm gonna wing my toes over, point the toes, and then pull back and flex. Good. If you wanna do a couple with the arms or the hands, you can as well. And pull back. 2. Keep going. And point. 3. So there's a little bit of tension in the spring. And 4. And I'm trying to splay the toes. 5. So now we're still working the arches and that kind of big toe muscle. 6 big toe muscles, I guess. And 7. And reach up. And 8. 2 more. And 9. 1 more. And 10, and then back and up. Okay, take a little moment, shake it out. Now we're gonna do just 1 foot at a time. So I want the feet a tiny bit closer together, and then I'm gonna point my left foot back up. Let's alternate. Point the right foot. 2, back up. Left foot. 3, back up. Right foot. 4, back up. I'm gonna do 1 more each foot for now. 5. And 6. Okay, so I'm going to try it with my scrunchie. It's not nearly going to be as much tension, but you get the idea of being able to use something else. So the left foot points back up. There's still a bit of a tension on my foot. left foot, back up, right foot, back up. Let's do one more each side. Left foot, back up, and a right foot, and back up, and then relax. Okay, so the next one has a lot of choreography. So if your feet and your toes are just kind of done for today, probably stop the video here and then come back to it. The next two things are very like sort of choreography-esque. So I'm going to put everything that we did together. So I'm turning out the feet, I'm pointing the toes and everything. So the spring is slack. I'm going to hold here. Legs are parallel to start. You're sitting up super tall. I'm going to turn both legs out. I'm going to point the toes forward. Ooh, my feet. I'm going to rotate back to parallel, and then I'm going to flex back. Here we go. So I'm going to do the arms too. Turn out, point the toes, parallel, flex it back. 3 more. Turn out, point the toes, parallel, and flex. 2 more. Turn out, point the toes, parallel. Ooh, that left foot doesn't want to work as hard. Turn out, point the toes, parallel, flex. You're going to reverse. So point first, try to turn out. This one's hard. You want to stay turned out as you flex, parallel. Point 2, turn it out, flex it back, parallel. 3 more. Point 3, turn it out, really splay, parallel. 2 more. Point 2, try to point that left foot and pull back, parallel. 1 more. Point and turn out, pull it back, parallel, and then relax. So you should feel all the muscles in your feet. I feel my shins and my calves working a lot. So thank you so much for joining me for our little foot, Pilates video with and without the toe corrector. This is something that you can do before a workout, something, you're warming up your feet, especially if you're maybe lifting or running, or all my dancers who are going to go into point or any sort of like balancing movements or exercise. My name is Christina. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Aloha.